Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Claare na Gael, shen enema Claare Shaw's babaliam shoish altacha. My name is Robert Catin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
And it's my pleasure to present this bilingual programme, Claare na Gael. One language is the English, as in Claare Elia shen Ghilgi, and the other one is the Manx Gaelic, Chinyan Amera, the mother tongue of Alan Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Banach and Urish, David Robertson has given a potted history of Rushen Abbey and has come on to a story associated with the Abbey and with Castle Rushen. And he suggests that there were, as he says, still some vestiges of a subterraneous road leading from the Abbey to the castle. Ta naich der a Pall Mall Gazette lotrish frelede nghariad begolach Thomas Bilder, mchion moda alde ter skepeel, as shir a skieler jes on a feber naich dege. Teach or purtugit de Hanna, node wel manche Bilder, well, beggen corredank. Today is Shanlal Brija, but by the modern calendar we're approaching St. Valentine's Day. So, love of my heart, Graih chree. Sounds suitably romantic, eh? But is it? Tashu geistachrish radio vanning, stashun and ashun, vis gol skeliena vaidulish, alin vanning. MOLLAG BAND, Graih chree, Love of My Heart, a Manx traditional song, but the young lady really isn't sure where she stands with her bow and is bothered and sleepless with worry. Graih chree, Love of My Heart. So let's turn to David Robertson then. The subterraneous road leading from the Abbey to the castle is germane to the tale told here by Robertson. In the 13th century, Ivar, a young and gallant knight, was enamoured of the beauteous Matilda. Her birth and fortune were inferior, but his generous mind disdained such distinctions. He loved and was most ardently beloved. The sanction of the king was alone wanting to consummate their happiness. To obtain this, Ivar, in obedience to the custom of the island, presented his bride to Reginald, a gay and amorous prince, who, struck with the beauty and innocence of Matilda, heightened by an air of modesty, immediately, for some pretended crimes, banished Ivar from his presence, and by violence detained the virgin. Grief and indignation alternately swelled her bosom, till, from the excess of anguish, she sunk into a state of insensibility. On awakening, her virtue was insulted by the approaches of the tyrant. She was, however, deaf to his insinuations, and only smiled at his menaces. Asnish, kiaull vain she Bilder, as naich der Pall Mall Gazette, Renshaw, for you coror bis on son skepele vod alder. Well, vainstje, doorte les sorch hours at the fastage, liam de vodem. Ach, gesems weg ostjent boeiach lesjes munien. Weiden son shigeris, man a wat dunje gurrit hien, as kiel chonnet erne been, koras chep mai ons achterbij, koivis koei de choreber. Kiaull vansje, tammy koror a han me so. Te gian dau, de rauwe mode al de sjenske peel. Inrichen no de rauwe gieri kost na magas. Vaina cheayrt ren Thomas Thomas as a ven ninjes gere eg a spotch, dat mi fagen de rauwe a chirweisha choru rai, as na rauwe kledden seilgerach krautgramp. Gedot mi struurish atjes flautach a chomes woezel, ach, smunny me de rauw vissem a red smooshiger den nghariad. As My Love is a Venus, here's Robin Llwyd ab Owen to sing about her with the band CILMERI. My nghariad in Fenws, my love is a Venus, a traditional Welsh song performed by CILMERI. Dwrt mi rischen. Nes Sir Bilder. Niemand saich het jij de wel een gid lei fontere we kiaull. Ach, niemand saich het jij nis, de wel een bre shoh furchten een we corritair, tre tauer ninch down het aus smunjen niet agert. Cart mai vansjer, doet de brioil. Niw laid out a fissem son ginu gammon jeed, ach rennen shan ven en shoh mika arm, vachwisjes de inch out de Gael lesh. Wel, liet de reines doet de gaan ven. Shoh tamme warrel. De wel a mode older shan keeltje na heen bol en jach. Tan gere de ne ren kunjenair Graih de rawe liggen hui na tavi na vodach kabel gol. Ach, genel mi krel, de son tau tigelwijnsje, ne wel mode al de liggen ach wisjes te mode elje. Adsen ne wel trogits en ach shen. Ta mode olden in ridden brauw en slioren skiel. Irritated at her contempt, and flattering himself that severity would subdue her truth and chastity, King Reginald imprisoned her in the most solitary apartment of the castle, where, for some months, she passed the tedious night and day in tears, far more solicitous for the fate of Ivar than affected by her own misfortunes. In the meantime, Ivar, failing in an attempt to revenge his injuries, assumed the monastic habit and retired into Rushen Abbey. Here he dedicated his life to piety, but his heart was still devoted to Matilda. For her he sighed, for her he wept, and to indulge his sorrows without restraint would frequently withdraw into the gloomiest solitudes. In one of those solitary rambles he discovered a grotto which had long been unfrequented. The gloom and silence of this retirement corresponding with the anguish of his mind, he sauntered onward, without reflecting the subterraneous path might conduce him. Ivar's imagination was portraying the graces of Matilda. A tune called The Bonfire, played by an octet called the Bonfire Radicals, Burning Love perhaps. Siwn yn asiwn tyn ei shoh sian na Graih radio fanning, as yn shoh ta siw geisiach rys Claare na Gael, mer yn pyn Robert Green Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Meanwhile, Ivar's heart was bleeding for Matilda's sufferings. From this reverie of woe, he was, however, soon awoke by the shriek of a female. Advancing eagerly, he heard in a voice nearly exhausted, "Mother of God, save Matilda!" While through a chink in the barrier which now separated them, he saw the Virgin, with dishevelled hair and a throbbing bosom, about to be sacrificed to the lust and violence of Reginald. Rage and madness gave new energy to Ivar, who, forcing a passage through the barrier, rushed upon the tyrant, and, seizing his sword, which lay carelessly on the table, plunged it into his master's bosom. The tyrant died, and the lovers, through this subterraneous communication, escaped to the seaside, where they fortunately met with a boat which conveyed them to Ireland, and in this kingdom the remainder of their years was devoted to the most exquisite of all human felicities, the raptures of a generous love, heightened by mutual admiration and gratitude. Weiden Curdainers de Graih tret a chit cúideach ons cochiejach as dat burre rid an achvis na smú aglit na Hudson, de vodach a ginu fire jowlach a sculte Creir beavis Ach, she ye ortons riechid, genel moda aldach bech ingel, na vellen jeefart, choachtel na dunnel as moda mai, as na vel je jane gerufert de gagehonsen. Genel en Renshaw veo lach ris kagen a eer kerel hon heen, a smoe likely de wel a ball en jacht mugik de ferk as vollige as a crow. As me vis smunnin a chor be, te gindis a vol vice near gedden an angelegge. Na fuddy te a chars na shees ons enjach as de wel ons seller Gael. Maar jee, na be klis kwech as ben chagre henjach, tret I fagen na soulien glade eg a salgenori as het orgus. Maar na wel I chit les fedden be, chanod I shan a shire, as fuddy the jig a shapwachur lug tumult. Well, let's step into Love's Garden of Roses now, a song published in 1914, music by Hayden Wood, and he sets, in this case, the lyrics of Ruth Rutherford.
Come, dearest heart, mid the flowers of June, come out in my garden so gay. I've roses, bright roses of every hue, and the sunshine for the whole day. There is laughter and a song in my garden, and a spell over all the land. Oh, never a fairer world could be to wander hand in hand. Come to my garden of roses, wine's whisper low. Now was so sweet a garden with love aglow. Laughter and the song in the sunshine, joys all divine. Come, ah, come to my garden, dearest heart of mine. Come, dearest heart, where the flowers enfold a dream that is tender and true. 'Tis here we may find in a rose's heart a message glad for me and you. There is laughter and a song in my garden, and such bliss that our hearts can tell. In this world we walk together, where love alone doth dwell. Come to my garden of roses, wine's whisper low. Now a so sweet a garden with love aglow. Laughter and the song in the sunshine, joys all divine. Come to my garden, come, dearest heart of mine.
Peter Dempsey sang Love's Garden of Roses, the words by Ruth Rutherford and set to music by Hayden Wood, published in 1914, accompanied at the piano there by Guy Rowland. Manavelle, as the bond eniach gol siulmach le saidur, as ti figela lianus a verambulator, well, esh a bech yindus orm a vissen kunta favel, saljigamach on lianu na slew, shenolju. Van mi kaart chorde en lie fontera, tra henkrid en ach sainis naien nunjig, as ren edin vansje Bilder dublus a lurid duchesach egel yindus. She banny me, doorte, maar a wel shen shan Bersicker ter jit back jay a jouwen heen. Haya desidorus as doshleer. Imiach snjau immerchi veji en dou. Tammy riwes mullion na wel berg fai riw in de wege mai is tret a littermus jay legerus erlie ederein. Tachiel channich persoonach njaartige na slei njenu na slew en ai shen. Ach nie ai, genel weg gurrishan grachte. Non ren Bilder en wenege nade, jinnu na smoo jane worde olde na jinnens jane morde kajin. This is the substance of the This is the substance of the tradition, writes David Robertson, but, he goes on, according to some of the Manx records, Reginald was slain by Ivar not in the castle of Rushen, but in a neighbouring meadow. And this is another story for which we turn to the Chronicle of the Kings of Man and the Isle. Although there's not actually much of it. We turn to Professor Munch's translation again. Harold Olafsson had gone to Norway in 1247, really because he'd been knighted by the English King Henry, and King Haakon of Norway was immediately annoyed, suspicious and jealous, and summoned Harold to Norway. Harold regained favour and indeed was married to Haakon's daughter, and then with Lawrence, the Bishop-elect of Soda, and the whole retinue, they all set out to return to the island, but they were lost in a shipwreck off the Shetlands in November of 1248. Well, the news evidently took time to get back to the island, and the Chronicle tells us, in the year 1249, Reginald began to reign on the 6th of May. Reginald was Harold Olafsson's brother. Now, this is a song about the bell ringers of St. Petrock's Church in Egloshayle in North Cornwall.
I'll tell you of 5 ringers bold that lived in Egloshayle. By ringaray, by night or day, no others could compare. The fame of these 5 ringers bold is a true delight to tell. Land livery men, St. Judy men, St. Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. There was Craddock the called Wainer, he rang the treble bell. Ellery was the second man, and few could him excel. The third was Pollard the carpenter, the fourth was Thomas Cleave, and good fellow, the tender man, he rang them round so brave. Land livery ments and Tudie ments and Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. Stepped along with his toe. He cast it of his eye about, he commanded them where to go. They rang so brave, with courage bold, it did their hearts revive. Sweet music then was swiftly heard with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Land livery ments and Tudie ments and Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. And took away the prize. They went up to St. Judy and they've done the same likewise. The Stratton ments and Mabon ments and Dissy and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. Land livery ments and Judy ments and Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. Livery ments and Tudie ments and Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. So to conclude this merry tale, the ringer's health I'll join. Stand every man and pass a flask and drink his health in wine. So here's to Craddock Ellery and here's to Thomas Cleave, to Pollard and to Goodfellow who rang them round so brave. Land livery ments and Tudie ments and Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo. Land livery ments and Tudie ments and Mabon and St. Kew. But these 5 boys from Egloshayle could all the rest outdo.
Salt and Sky, singing about the Egloshayle ringers. Having noted that Reginald began to reign on the 6th of May, the Chronicle continues, and on the 30th of the same month was slain by the knight Ivar and his accomplices in a meadow near the church of the Holy Trinity at Rushen. He was buried in the church of St Mary of Rushen. So that's what the Chronicle of the Kings of Man and the Isles tells us, but Professor Munch notes, this is also told in the Chronicle of Lanercost Priories in Cumbria, with, he says, the slight alteration that Reginald's assassination is assigned to the 1st of July. Well, looking at the Chronicle of Lanercost, it's a bit strange because it says that Olav's brother Reginald reigned 27 days, from the 7th of May to the 1st of July. But those dates would make it 55 days. If the 1st of July was a mistake for the 1st of June, that would make only 25 days, and not the 27 days. Professor Munch also notes that rather than Reginald being killed by the knight Ivar and his accomplices, the Chronicle of Lanercost says, by the men of the knight Ivar. Van berg heen go cheayrt is immerke heen de mai is an shen de ulju na madiol de kaslisich. Cara quondam de nien weg gechloge marki jurg, chaus te tarne barent ons far edin. Van kledden reert sus mest ersken kunte je aatjes is trias. A mod al de ulkren rish lai chorn njau jeltes lonning as cor uljen a pageant valje krau ons nin bregen, wij ons shen as sors de immerke arsach egge, as wij na altige as we Biggin, Jintje, mort de bergie sors de wax strailtach, master modi olde. Renshaw wilde scrutige, mages maagles kereel smijg. As trevi jintles en arsach egge, doorte kaartest. We vissem de berg borenjach chitter en chan verbach, na doet mi shen trud mag ulju. Schachen kjaun egge ulju gjarrich is ledden de glonne vrish. Ter we kost na harish bal en jacht na bala kustetje. traditional dance music of Asturias led by José Ángel Javier Velasco, who performs just as Javier.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Siodiw stasiwn yr asiwn, radio fan yn y si Claare na Gael fysgol sgeliau y cartnish, mer yn pyn Robert Cyrrin Carswell, Robert y Carslach.
Ever heard tell of owl Bobby Bob?
Spastach dy fel ei lawit dy slaid ych o'r mwlach yn y bolach yn ocles bod jail yn brish. Sioch yn siot yn air sys jay. Ta rod Bersicker. Rennie cor leis y modd o older as hug ei fo glas ei ons cage. Leis glaut de fail. Ren coolina sa woods achterby, na or yn bunnedach Jane llai bait, as higher rosh de chorkunta jay. Henk mischer soelnies de chorkunta Jane inrich en visser llai, viskuller cor dew benten den imiach weg ons negerigen bergolach. Gilan en Fairly Seward en schachtel jeg mijn fouwer. Van mi kiaull trail lug genair ons me cheamer studeres, as mish skriws diach ons miljoren vergit de wei trut prees daver elia as immer die kiaull gol a shilja Lucy, gúil de trai. Dot hasjem van Doris na brisje faaslit, as stiach ren raim a horrensach, les een egge as kumma les ferg. Well, I'm sure it didn't make any difference to King Reginald whether he was murdered by the Knight Ivar and his accomplices or by the men of the Knight Ivar, or whether he'd reigned 24 days, 27 days, or as many as 55 days. Both the Chronicles of the King of Man and the Isles and the Chronicle of Lanarcost tell us that Reginald Olafsson was succeeded by Harold Godredson. Professor Munch's note here continues. There seems to have been a conspiration between Harold, the son of Godred, and Sir Ivar, because, in a letter issued by King Henry of England on the 21st of April 1256, an order is given to all authorities not to receive Harold or Ivar, who had shamefully murdered King Reginald, nor their accomplices. Of this Sir Ivar, however, nothing more is known. Maybe he belonged to the royal family of the Isles. Well, this regicide was probably the fallout of a dynastic struggle that had been going on amongst the descendants of Godred Crovan for several generations by that time. Now, these days, the late Roy Williamson's most sung song is Flower of Scotland, sung at football and rugby matches, and he and his musical partner, Ronnie Brown, were very much loved as the Corries for about 30 years, up until Roy's untimely death in 1990. We'll join them here as they're westering home.
Westering home, and the song in the air, light in the eye, and it's goodbye to care. Laughter or love, and a welcoming there. I love my heart, my own one. Tell me, O lands of the Orient gay, speak of the riches and joys of Cathay. Hey, but it's grand to be waking each day, to find yourself nearer to Isla. And it's westering home, and the song in the air, light in the eye, and it's goodbye to care. Laughter or love, and a welcoming there. I love my heart, my own one. Where are the folk like the folk of the West? Canty and couthie and kindly the best. There I would hie me, and there I would rest, at hame with my ain folk in Isla. And it's westering home, and the song in the air, light in the eye, and it's goodbye to care. Laughter or love, and the welcoming there. I love my heart, my own one. And it's westering home, and the song in the air, light
And that's Westering Home, based on the Scottish Gaelic song Ellan mo chree, Isle of My Heart, and given its English form in the 1920s by Hugh Robertson, the founder and conductor of the famous and much-loved Glasgow Orpheus Choir, sung there by the Corries. The traditional tale, as told by David Robertson, sees the death of King Reginald in Castle Rushen and as having been deserved as a tyrant tormenting the lovely Matilda, with Ivar as the hero of the hour. But we've heard that the Chronicles of Man in the Isles says Reginald's death came in a meadow near Rushen Church. Robertson observes that this variation of the scene, however, doesn't materially affect the credit of the tradition, as the Manx historians impute Reginald's death not so much to Ivar's ambition as to his revenge of private injuries. In fact, from Professor Munch's account, there's a suggestion that he was the henchman of an opposing faction to Reginald in the dynastic struggles for dominance amongst the descendants of Godred Crovan. But the tale of Ivar and Matilda and the death of tyrant Reginald ends that chapter, in fact, so now we move on to chapter 8, referring to Derby Haven, the Calf of Man, its romantic solitude, and Anchorite. Vami tan venit, nod fel lid y soren sa cos na jay a iawn hin stiach on Seamus nuderis a scruter, she bunus Guinness. Gin leist a tullach, henkeid the girach orm, va skin genereg a ons law, as nod a vac mi drawi dan gerach, hug mi eber kummel a boer ederain. Ach, ve ro blew, as ro ledger mahon, son rosh rau ked au chit de ve corm, ve wool orm, as a yarum wannel malaw hier trom de lure. Ach rosh me vodach e boelerish, hug mi stiach me gorn jesh, me gion yesh, as ve surle a green merler. Van wannel me lauw ligge foel de ser, as de jaru, va dubbe beg sheila mach ar a vrat leir. Honnig min rauw me chare kiaull corebelia, as va mi currit de kiaull sus wannel me lauw. As vreel arre tuiach an chumme na lai shint a griem olju en trei. Ren na ten daily reistiach on, as hindeish in a Gaeline desen. And so, goodbye. Well, no, we're not finishing early. That's the title of this Breton song by Gwenin. Ken Nabo.
Gas hon und
Breton singer Gwenin singing the song Cén na Bó, Farewell. Na bheith the ynu, bheith the jarw cor fear orm. Bheith na lai a volg a lair, as slí gorish moda, a fool ver dujum vai mwanel gortish malau. Bheith connelt shiger de eishach, as ma yindas thou high merish na tenjeli she oil de bollach, as ginu veg, ach Graih rish as rish. Shane fool ten vioes, shane fool ten vioes. Now, David Robertson, you may recall, opened chapter 6 by telling us that I was induced by 2 of my friends to accompany them in an ambulatory excursion round the island. And so, he tells us now, we passed the day at Ballasalla, and next morning proceeded through some romantic scenery to Derby Haven, a small village, which only claims attention from its excellent harbour. And thus is dismissed Derby Haven, but in fact there's more to see in this area, as we shall find out next time. Ach, den treir jit nish de chorchion en Claare show rish. Chris Pearson is waiting in the wings to bring you 2 hours of your Sunday night chill out. And at 9, Judith Leigh will be here with Sundown. We're closing with music by the traditional artist in residence in the University of Edinburgh at the present time, Fraser Fifield. He's playing low whistle on this one, and Graham Stephen plays guitar. And this is a composition by Fraser Fifield called Emigrant Eyes. Cartna Shene, and so until the next time, this is Robert Cutting-Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night, Eve. I'm a Chrieri will you, as Horserlier, as my Yiri and shared you.